and our partners around the county and state, Father God. We thank you, Father God, for this agenda, Father God, that we have put together, Father God. But we also know that whereas we put these things together, Father God, that ultimately your plans prevail. And so, Father God, I ask right now that we would go into a moment of silence as we honor one of yours, the Honorable Colin Powell. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lundy, for that prayer and moment of silence. If you ever had the chance to meet the general, just from the first conversation you had with him, you felt like you were talking to your grandfather or your uncle. He was such an elder statesman, but still at the same time very much approachable. And just knowing, having had the opportunity to meet him and work with him, but then knowing people close to the family, just ask that you keep them all in your prayers during this time. With that, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I would like to announce the Town Council did have a closed session on Sunday, October 3rd, to discuss 2 personnel items. A motion was taken regarding a personnel action, and then another motion was taken up regarding one of the town ordinances by the council. And again, that was on Sunday, October 3rd at 12 p.m. The next item is the approval of the agenda. And for those who weren't with us in the work session, just want to bring you up to speed. We did run out of time, and so the items that are listed under new business, we covered a few, but there's a good chunk that we weren't able to get to, and there was agreement amongst the council to add those items, or actually just discuss them in the council meeting, since many of them are already on here, or I should say all of them are on here under Section 11, new business. So with that, may I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, I'm pleased to welcome a beautiful young lady to give us her report. This is Ms. Pat Williams, the representative here with us tonight from the Board of... Ms. Pat Williams joins us as the lead for the Board of Supervisors of Elections. I see her on the Zoom. Here she is. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to our mayor and the council members and all those that are present. I am pleased to say that we had a successful election on October 4th. Lots of our residents turned out to cast their votes. And at this time, I'm going to read you the vote count for the election on October 4th. For mayor, S. Donnie Bridgman, 82. Takesha D. James, 265. For council member Ward 1, Trina Brown, 106. Alvin Marino, 60. Dana Shepard, 44. Council member Ward 2, Landis Burrows, 20. Carletta Lundy, 49. Carol McBride, 65. And the Board of Election Supervisors and I would like to say congratulations to everyone. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the town staff who participated and to help things come together for a successful day. And I'd like to mention everyone, as many as I can, by name. The town staff would be Kim, Ray, Diamond, Diane, Merxis, Sean, Maria, Kurt, Tasha, and others that were behind the scenes. I would also like to mention by name those persons who came to help the Board of Election Supervisors in Bladensburg. Much appreciated of their time and much appreciated working with them. Their names are George, Mary, Helen, Jean, Ian, Roxanne, and Sheldon from ESS. We appreciate all of your time and help that you had given to us on Monday, October the 4th. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I think at this time, I would also like to say and extend my appreciation to Robert McGrory for his help, his knowledge, and his expertise for helping us get through the things that we did not know and helping to reinforce those things that we did know and learning things as we go, but keeping us on the right path. I would like to say to Robert McGrory, thank you very much. We most appreciate you. And I think that would conclude the end of my notes, words of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. Sorry, give us a second. All right, we're muted on there. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Williams. Hopefully you can hear me, but we appreciate your dedication as well as the other board members for the Board of Election Supervisors. You put in a lot of time on Election Day in addition to prior meetings with preparing things leading up to it, and we don't want to overlook that. We sincerely appreciate all that you did, the staff did, and the vendor who came in with the electronic machines to ensure that we had a smooth transition throughout the election. So thank you all again, and please pass that note of thanks on to the rest of the Board of Supervisors of Elections. Mr. McGrory, anything you want to add before we move on from the staff perspective regarding the elections?
No, I will say the board did a great job, and it was a real pleasure to serve in this iterative process. We had some losses and some changes in the leadership, and Ms. Williams stepped up, and the board, I think, just worked extremely well together. They're all very experienced here, having run through this, and so it was a real pleasure to serve with experienced, knowledgeable folks. And the staff participation was also fantastic. Across the board, everybody pitched in as needed and when needed without hesitation. And it's we all feel very strongly about the oaths we take to serve, and the charter of the town of Bladensburg articulates its election process, and it's a real honor to have been a participant in the democracy functioning here in the town of Bladensburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGrory. Any comments or questions from the council or other staff members for Ms. Williams or Mr. McGrory? Councilmember Rao.
Thank you, Mayor James. Town of Bladensburg Administrator, Mr. McGrory. I have a question. We never successfully acknowledged who the Board of Supervisors president is or lead is. So do we have to take an official action today so that we can be able to ratify the results that are being presented to us as per our charter? Please advise.
Sure. Well, sorry, I unmuted myself. So the charter does envision that the council appoints a chief judge, and that is to have happened prior to, I believe it's March, and I don't have the charter in front of me at the moment, but apparently there was no quorum at the March meeting. And so what the charter says is that the prior supervisors continue in office. So absent that, the board chose from among its own participants their leaders. And as I mentioned, there were some leadership changes during the course of the run-up to the election between June and October. And Ms. Williams was elected as a chair by the 3 remaining members of the board. So I believe the town attorney was asked this question, and she advised that it was not necessary to do any formal approval, that it should happen at some point, but that it did not happen in the immediate run-up to the election. So I do think it would be in order for the town, prior to March of 2021, or well in advance of a special election, and of course you can't foresee when a special election might occur, that I believe the town should set about formalizing a process to potentially add new members to support the work of the board as supervisors, and then designate one among them as the chief judge.
Thank you, Mr. McGrory. And to that point, it's my recommendation, since we'll have new council members taking the oath of office in December, that once they're on, that we actually have a more formal debrief with the Board of Supervisors of Elections to talk about what worked well, where we had challenges, what we can improve for the next process, and that at that time we identify a chair and have the council vote to appoint that person as the chair of the Board of Supervisors. And the reason I say that is, as we move from December going into 2022, there's plenty of time apart from or in advance of the next elections. I think you have to be careful making a lot of changes the year of elections, a month out. It just looks like you're trying to tamper with an election. So if we take action in 2022, do a call out to the community for volunteers and give people the opportunity to join that body, then we have more volunteers helping. And from that pool, once the council agrees on who that board is, again, we nominate them. So I think we have some work to do to just from what we learned this time. This was all of our first time, I believe, going through it, other than Mendoza, who've been on the council before. So it was definitely a learning experience. But again, thank you, Ms. Williams, for joining us tonight and providing the update. Next up on the agenda, we have, I think this is you, Chief Collington. We're turning it over to you for some recognitions of some of our police officers. We don't have a microphone at the podium, but we can pull this one up if you want to.
You can use this one right here too. It's the closest.
Okay.
That's all we're over there.
I mean, I would say you could face the room, the cameras, he can work the cameras in each direction. But yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Right. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, colleagues, community. This is the part of my job where I enjoy, I take pride in presenting our staff who work hard each and every day that they come to work to serve and keep Bladensburg a thriving and safe community. Tonight, I want to recognize just a couple of our officers for the good work that they've done. Some at the state level, some they did work in Blainesburg, as well as at the U.S. Capitol. First, I would like to present an award to Acting Corporal Thompson, which is for the insurrection that we had down at the U.S. Capitol. That was a very trying time for our country as well as the world, to see that this was one of the worst insurrections, attacks on the U.S. Capitol since the War of 1812. Thousands of protesters ascended upon the U.S. Capitol. They unlawfully entered the building and assaulted hundreds of law enforcement officers doing their jobs of protecting the lives and the safety of the U.S. Capitol and the U.S. congressional staff. The following days, leadership within the U.S. Capitol requested assistance from allied surrounding law enforcement jurisdictions with providing security in response to the insurrection that happened on the 6th. As a result, we looked into our rank and file, and we found that we had officers that were certified to serve on the front line to respond to civil disorder. In addition to that, when the U.S. Capitol found out that we were one of the few agencies in the state to have a remote restraint device known as the bowler wrap, they wanted our officers to be on the front line. And as a result of that, other agencies have reached out to us to be trained and also purchased a bowler wrap. The bowler wrap is a remote restraint system, as I said, and is used to reduce injuries to our staff, law enforcement, as well as to the individuals that we are trying to take in the custody, whether it's for failure to obey a lawful order or someone that's suffering from mental illness. It's a remote, it can be deployed remotely, it wraps the individual up, and there's no injuries there. So as a result of that, our officers, Acting Corporal Patrick Thompson and Lieutenant Silvers, were selected from the Bladensburg Police Department to provide security at the Capitol. Both Acting Corporal Thompson and Lieutenant Silvers are trained to address situations of civil disorder. Lieutenant Silvers and Acting Corporal Thompson are being recognized for their relentless, selfless dedication and commitment to protecting the lives and safety of the U.S. Capitol as well as Congress. Their bravery, and courage, and contributions demonstrated a positive reflection upon themselves and the Blainesburg Police Department. Their actions had a significant impact upon the community and contributed significantly to the vision, mission, and values of the Blainesburg Police Department. The team continues to lead by example, reflecting a positive image upon the town of Bladensburg and themselves and the allied law enforcement agencies that they serve with. And I'd like to present tonight, I think Lieutenant Silvers is not here, so we'll just recognize, we'll give him his certificate, but we'll recognize Acting Corporal Thompson. Thanks, sir. So while we have Acting Corporal Thompson still here, I want to say personally that when I came to Bladensburg, there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed. And I looked around the agency to see who had a passion for certain tasks. And one task that we were really suffering in was training. And as a result, I reached out to Acting Corporal Thompson, and I asked him if he would step up as the training coordinator for the department. Since that time, the department has engaged in over 2,000 hours of in-service training. He researched and found us the less lethal weapons that I talked about earlier, the bowler wrap. He upgraded our policies and our standards. He's well respected among state instructors from the Maryland Police Training Commission. When Acting Corporal Thompson put out a lesson plan, it's approved in record time because they know that he knows what he's doing, and he puts a fantastic training outline together. He created a new firearms training course for our officers. He enhanced the bowler wrap training. Other training include de-escalation training, sensitivity training, sexual harassment training, and that's just to name a few. And as a result, this year they sent the Maryland Training Police Commission sent out a application for Instructor of the Year. And we are pleased to announce that Acting Corporal Thompson was selected as Instructor of the Year for 2021 amongst the state. And we have this type of intelligence and competency right here in Bladensburg. And we are continuing to set the example for others, and we open up our doors, and Acting Corporal Thompson has trained other municipalities around. He is a highly sought after instructor in this area. And I know earlier we were talking about the port towns. This is an example of the collaboration and cooperation that we have with our port towns. Corporal Thompson, he sets that example. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about taking pictures. He has his family here, and we want to say thank you to you guys coming out and supporting Acting Corporal Thompson. I know he has a task when he get home. He can't sleep because he has to help out with the babies, but I tell you, he's second to none when it comes to training. Thank you.
Can you get a picture with him?
Do you all want to get up here in front of the council dais? It just has a nice official background. It's up to you all. But we got lunch for you.
Yeah.
But be careful of the cords. And council members, do you want to get in up behind the dais maybe, or whatever you're comfortable with?
Thank you, Chief. Mm-hmm.
Is everybody on?
Okay, big smiles behind those masks, everybody. Congrats so much. Well done. Thank you. And I put a little dish out over there. I don't know if anybody needs to grab the hand. Thank you.
Okay, the next award we want to present, this individual did not know he was getting this award, but because he's just that kind of person, he has a strong passion for working with the community. So he did not know he put himself second, and he always put others first. So without further ado, I'd like to call it back on Corporal Tanksley. Now, there's so many things we can say about Corporal Tanksley. His passion with the young people, his passion with the seniors, his passion with the community. His passion is for anyone who needs his help and his attention. He goes above and beyond to make sure. He's called me after hours. He's come in from, he lives in way out, but he will come in and make sure that the community's needs are met. And I'd like to recognize him for the Community Service Award. Acting Corporal Cedric Tanksley is being recognized for his relentless, selfless dedication and commitment to the town of Bladensburg's residents, police department, and the community's action team. His consistent contributions to the community throughout 2021 contributed significantly to the vision, mission, and values of the Blainesburg Police Department. and the Community Action Team. He continues to lead by example, reflecting a positive image upon his colleagues, himself, and the community. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, excuse me. Oh, he continues to lead by example, reflecting a positive image upon himself, the town of Blainesburg, his allied law enforcement agencies, and council members. He's recognized for his community engagement. I'm sorry, this is kind of too small. He's recognized for his robust community initiatives, especially during the COVID-19, where he collaborated with several outreach resources, enabled the action team to earn the respect from their colleagues, the commanders, the Blainesburg Police Department, and his efficiency, his professionalism. So I'd just like to name a few of the community programs that he's involved in. The Straight Talk with Teens. I remember when Corporal Tanksy came to me and he wanted to start this program. And this was among many. He had the Police Explorers and other programs. But what his passion was reaching out to the youth that, we don't call them at risk, we call them the challenge youth. The ones that are somewhat going off the rails. I've seen Corporal Tanksy go out and get jobs for these young people, and he just does so much. The Police Explorer program, the domestic violence resources that he have are impeccable. He put the first ever Bladensburg truck, car, motorcycle show together, which was fantastic. People are still talking about when is the next one. Right now, currently, he's working with the residents on the Community Police Academy, and this is a program where we would like everyone to be a part of. It gives insight into what it's like to be a police officer, and Tanksley has really taken the lead on that. This is your third one?
Yes, sir. This is
the third session that's happening now, and we encourage all our residents, especially during these challenging times where there's a lot of mistrust between law enforcement and community. We invite everyone to join the Citizen Police Academy. He's helped out with the food distribution, the job fair, and he's also, I like to call him a school ambassador, because he is very well respected in all 7 of our schools in the town of Bladensburg. When I'm looking for him, he's always in one of the 7 schools, and that speaks volumes to his commitment to serving the community and serving with our youth, as well as building relationships with the educators. So with that, I just want to say thank you, sir. Much appreciated. All right.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Chief Collins?
Are you going up there? Yeah,
Yes.
please.
And then we also want to say happy birthday.
Yes, yes.
Happy birthday.
Sunday.
Yesterday.
Yep.
Thank
So you want to sit down?
Thank you.
You sit there.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I know this is perfect. Thank you. And do we want to get one with the rest of the uniform folks up there all together? Oh, we've got a good crowd. Can we get all the folks up here together? Chief, you want to join us? Yes, sir. All right, let's get the tall people up on the booster step. That's perfect.
You did not. He went next to me though. He did say talk.
All right, once again, smile behind those masks. Well done. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you for those recognitions Acting Corporal Thompson, I know he stepped out already, and Lieutenant Silvers, thank you for all you do to make this department great. And Chief, thank you for your leadership.
And I taught you everything you know.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And at this time, we have a presentation coming up from Ms. Jennifer Hawkins from the Prince George's County 311 system. But council members, I do recognize our fire chief walked in, so if you all don't mind, perhaps after the presentation, if Chief wants to share, you all would be open to that friendly amendment to the agenda. But at this time, Mr. Gray, we're going to turn it over to Mrs. Jennifer Hawkins, who's on the line for her presentation.
Thank you, Mayor James, and good evening to Mayor James, council members, town staff, and community members of the town of Bladensburg. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share information with you this evening from the Office of Community Relations. Mayor James, I have a PowerPoint presentation. Do I have access to sharing my screen?
I believe you do. Mr. Gray, can you just give access, please?
Yes, I have it.
So, Mrs. Hawkins, I think you have to accept on the blue button toward the top of your screen.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There was a button on your screen, I believe, giving you permission. Bear with us 1 second. Let's try this again. Okay, we're making you a co-host, so you should be able to present momentarily.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen with the
Yes.
PowerPoint presentation? Okay. Okay, thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hawkins. I am the program manager of the 311 On the Go program, which is an award-winning program from the Office of Community Relations, where Yanisha Davis is the director. The exciting news I'd like to share with everyone this evening is about the launch of our new PGC 311 system. But before I do that, I just want to share a little information about the program that I am responsible for. The 311 On the Go program is a program that is to provide additional improved customer service when there's a need for citizens to engage their county government above and beyond the 311 call center. In order to improve the level of customer service that the citizens of our great county deserve, we've incorporated 4 components in the program. The first component is citizen engagement. The 311 On the Go team, we are out and about in your community. We attend various events. The chief mentioned the program that Officer Tankersley was responsible for, which was a wonderful event, which I attended this summer. That's an example of the 311 On the Go team being out in the community, sharing information with the citizens of this county. We are also able to submit service requests right there on the spot, whether we're in the communities where you live, where you shop, where you're entertained, where you work. When we're out in the community, we're able to hear and see the different concerns that citizens have in their communities. And we collaborate with agency representatives to also come out and join us to observe, listen to, and act on the concerns that citizens have in their community. So we do collaborate with agency representatives. The third component is county administration initiatives. And what that basically means is that for any county executive initiative, when there's a need for citizens to engage their county government, the 311 on the go team will be out and about and available to provide support. We're able to answer questions as well as submit service requests on citizens' behalves. And last, but definitely not least, is accountability. Through the 311 system, we amass a vast amount of data. And with that data, we are able to provide the county executive's management team various reports that help with their business decision-making purposes. So these are 4 components of the 311 on the go program. I just wanted to share some examples of some of the work that we were involved in. On your screen, some of you may be familiar with this tour bus that was parked on Newton Street for over 10 years. And the owner of this vehicle, he knew every trick in the book to avoid moving that tour bus. The 311 on the go team partnered with various agencies to ultimately get that vehicle moved off of the street. And the citizens in this community were pleased that they were able to have their street back and able to see the sun shine again on their street. This is another example of the 311 on the go team being out in the community. On May 1st, we assisted various communities throughout the county during Growing Green with Pride Day. We spanned out, we were in the northern, central, and southern regions of the county, and we assisted various communities with cleaning up their communities. This is an example of a community walk in which from the spring through the summer, we conducted various community walks where, again, we collaborated with our county agency partners, the county executive, along with our new police chief, Chief Malik Aziz, joined us, and we were able to engage the community, hear their concerns, see their concerns, and also address various concerns that were brought to our attention. So that's just a little bit about the 311 on the go program, where we are in your community and we're about your community. So the information that I really came here to talk about was the 311, the new 311 system, which is launching very soon. The new system is now called PGC 311. And this system was designed with you in mind. With our old system, we received feedback from the public, from various community members about what worked and what did not work for them with the 311 system. So we took that information and feedback helped to design the new system, which will be utilized by county residents, businesses, visitors, of course, the PGC 311 call center, and county government agencies. With the PGC 311 system, you have 3 options to engage your county government. We will have a new PGC 311 mobile app where you will be able to be out and about, and you could submit a service request right from your smartphone. We also will launch a web portal where you can submit your service request anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, the call center will continue to be available for those citizens that prefer to speak directly with a customer service representative for assistance. So we want you to stay tuned. The launch is coming very soon, and we're really trying to promote the mobile app, as it will really be a very easy, user-friendly tool that you can use to submit service requests. So this is an example of the logo. This is what you will see if you download the mobile app from either Google Play or the Apple App Store. And on the right, you will see the landing screen of the mobile app. And the mobile app and the web portal will mirror each other. So this is what you will see whether you're on the online system or on the mobile app. So at your fingertips, you will be able to submit service requests, look at recently submitted service requests from other citizens in the county. If you choose to register for an account, you can view any of the service requests that you've submitted in the past. And lastly, you have access to a huge, robust knowledge base database. So we've worked with all of the county agencies to create FAQs so that information will be readily available at your fingertips. So some of the other features of the new system, as I mentioned, there is a robust knowledge base. Believe it or not, many of the calls we receive through the call center do not result in an actual service request. Many citizens call into the call center for information. So you will have the information at your fingertips that you can access instead of calling into the call center. When you submit a service request, you will also receive alerts from the point of creation of your service request through resolution. So in the past, some of the feedback we received was that once a request was submitted, citizens stated that they didn't know the status of their request. And sometimes it felt like it fell into a black hole. Well, that will no longer be the case. You will receive alerts as the agencies update the service requests as they action the concern that you've brought to the county's attention. Another additional feedback we received was that sometimes it was difficult to determine which service request type to select for the service that was requested. So with this new system, we have a robust search engine. So you can just enter some keywords and a list of related service requests will display. And along with those service requests, you will also have descriptors. So it's a brief description of each service request. Another neat feature with our system is that you can provide feedback. So from the point of submitting your service request, you will receive a link to submit a survey where you could provide your feedback. From the point of submitting your service request, whether it's online or through the call center, and also at the point of resolution. So you're able to provide feedback on the work that the agencies delivered as well. So we want to hear from you. We would like to continue to improve this system. And the only way to improve this system on a continual basis is from listening to the citizens that are utilizing the new PGC 311 system. So some of the things that you'll be able to do, you can add a photo to your service request, whether it's through the mobile app, on your tablet, or through the online service. You can, as I mentioned, access our robust knowledge base for information. And you can also register for an account. Registering for an account is not mandatory. However, we do recommend that you register for an account so that you can track any and all service requests that you submit. Another neat feature is that you can drop a pin on the map, which will identify the exact location of the location of where the concern is located. So sometimes there may be, maybe as an example, a pothole on a street and there's no exact location, address. Well, if you drop a pin where that pothole is located, the mobile app will know your exact location. And lastly, again, I'd like to reiterate is that you will receive alerts and notifications through the life cycle of your service request. So before I leave you, I do want to just reiterate to you that the PGC 311 system will be a game changer. We believe it will be much easier for you to use and to navigate. And we're really excited to provide this new innovative system to the citizens of Prince George's County. And on the screen is my contact information. If you have any questions after this meeting, feel free to reach out to me. You can submit your questions or comments to the 311 on the go email address. And for those of you on the phone, the email address is 311 on the go, and you spell that out, ONTHEGO @co.pg.md.us. Again, that's 311 on the go @co.pg.md.us. Or you can call me directly into the Office of Community Relations office at 301-952-4729. Thank you kindly for your time. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hawkins. Sorry,
You're very
thank you
welcome.
so much for that presentation and for also sharing your contact information. I know one resident here in Bladensburg in particular, we've had to help him connect with you because of trying to report or get status updates in the old 311 system. So we are very much looking forward to when the new system launches to make it so much easier for residents to report, track, and see the status of their concerns and questions. So with that, before we move on, want to again thank you and ask if there are any questions from the council at this time. Councilmember Rao.
Thank you, Mayor James. This is going to be definitely a game changer. Ms. Hawkins, I have a question. Are there any plans in the future to be able to map this system with any municipal systems? And I ask this question because we, the town of Bladensburg, have been trying to procure a system to do similar things, like, for example, for our code enforcement violations, to be able to have the residents be able to do a lot of the things that you shared today. Are there any plans on being able to recommend how the towns or other municipalities can interface with your system, or is that a wish? I mean, in my brain, it just seems like a perfect merger of what could definitely be a game changer if we could piggyback off of your system or ride off of it.
So the technology does exist to integrate other systems with our PGC 311 system. The vendor for this new system is Salesforce, and it is a state-of-the-art customer relationship management tool. There is an interactive feature to our new system. An example of that is for those services that the county does not have jurisdiction over, and municipality related concern is an example. And so if a citizen submits a service request for a concern that is the responsibility of the municipality, they will receive a notice or an alert letting them know that that particular concern belongs to the municipality, and either a link and or a phone number for the municipality will be provided. I think your suggestion is a great one, and I will take that feedback back to the project team. And the first hurdle is to get the system launched for the entire county. And with the API technology, which will allow other systems to integrate, I know we're looking at integrating with other systems. So I will take your feedback back. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. One more question for you from Councilmember Lundy.
Hi, Ms. Hawkins. So I don't know if it's
Hello.
a question or not, but I'm glad my colleague asked that question because I wrote down on my pad to ask you that same question as well. But what I wanted to say, congratulations on this. I'm really excited about it. And especially I like the feature of the pin feature. I love that. In fact, in asking that question about the integration or interface for municipalities to be able to access the database to get those pictures, that way residents wouldn't have, that's why we wouldn't have to double dip or what have you. So I just wanted to say I really love that feature and the great way, the way this new system is moving. So kudos and congratulations to the team for doing this and moving in this direction.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll share your feedback.
Any questions from the staff before we let Mrs. Hawkins go? Okay, and no questions from Councilmember Blount. All right, thank you again, Ms. Hawkins, for joining us. Appreciate this, and we're looking forward to the official launch. I tried to see if the app was just preliminarily available, and I see it's not. So I'll just keep checking in the App Store.
It's coming.
And we will share, more information once the system is available and it goes live. We will be sharing that information in every possible way that we can. So you will get information and notification of the launch of the new system.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I'm just going to drop some information in your chat that you may find helpful. But thank you again for the invitation. And again, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions after this meeting.
Great, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay. So at this time, council members, as I mentioned, we do have the fire chief with us, which I know it's tough for him to get away. So if you all don't mind, I'd love to just give him an opportunity to speak and share some updates with us. Any concerns with that from the council? Okay. We may have to increase the height of that microphone for you, Chief, right? There we go.
I'll get down, but I'll never get back up. Thank you, sir. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council, Chief. You guys mind if I pull this down, or you guys want me to keep it up?
Take it down.
Okay. It's hard to understand me without one on. It's even harder with one on. Just for update real quick. So far, year to date, the fire department has ran over 3,675 calls without missing any calls. Our call volume is still down due to COVID. Generally, about this time, we're in the 5,000 range. So we're still looking at a low number for responses this year. I'll give you guys a quick update of what's going on next door. Earlier in the year, we did receive a Fema Grant for $67,000. That grant was used to purchase a cascade system. For you guys that don't know what a cascade system is, it's what we use to refill our cylinders after a fire. Prior to that, we would have to go to Brentwood or College Park to fill them up. We now have the capabilities to do so in our own station without having to depend on somebody else. I will say that we have met a little bit of resistance from the county fire department with that. The fire chief has said that they don't maintain it and they can't guarantee the air quality coming out of there, which when I submitted my letter to the county fire department, I said I would give you the air quality every 3 months as required by NFPA and give you all maintenance records, but she didn't want to accept it to put it on any type of county maintenance. So we will be maintaining it and having the records for all air quality involving that. We received another grant just recently, last month, from FEMA for $43,000. That would be to purchase all new fire hose as well as appliances for our engines. We're looking to probably spend about $38,000 on that to do 3 engines. And that will still leave us a truck company to work on. The new engine, I'm sure some of y'all have seen on my social media, is N. It is a 2021 Marauder Seagrave. That was paid out at $681,900 at no cost to any taxpayer. So we did that with all the funds raised through our bingo. Yes. It is currently up in Jessup right now, getting the radios installed and the computers mounted. From there, it will go to St. Mary's County to have all the equipment mounted on it. Again, that will be an additional cost of almost $14,000 at no cost to taxpayers. The new ambulance, I spoke to Brian Griffin yesterday. It is at the stage for us to go to final construction, or also what's known as pre-con, where we will detail the layout of all the stickers and where we want stuff in the actual box. So it will be ready to go to Florida here within the next 2 to 3 weeks to complete the final build. And once it is in Florida, we're still looking at about a March delivery date for the new ambulance. The training classroom, as you guys know, I know the chief knows, is all done and completed. A lot of people have been using it. A lot of outside agencies, Christian fellowship groups and others have been using it, so the word is getting out about it. It is a community classroom. It's not just for the fire department. It's for everybody. And I've been, everywhere I go and people I've talked to, I've made, hey, classroom's here. You want to come use it, let us know. We're all about it. One of the things that we've done with that classroom is we turned it into its own foundation. So it is the William Philpot Training Foundation at the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department. And we did that for a number of reasons, and if you guys want to learn about those, I will get into them at a later time. But it's a benefit overall, not only for the town, but for the fire department as well. We have an outside training company coming in December that will be teaching rapid intervention classes. It will be what's known as a RIT weekend. The company is coming from Florida, and it's to show our guys new techniques about being able to save your own as well as pulling people out of fires. There has been so much advancement as far as thermal imagery, using the cameras and stuff like that, and they're bringing us all the latest stuff up to us. The training classroom and the foundation has been recognized by the fire chief of the county as the Northside Training Center for the volunteers. We are currently using the second floor. I'm sure you guys saw the big dumpster again show up because we're doing building a drop floor, some rooms where you can actually pull drywall down because, believe it or not, there's an art to pulling down drywall, and some other parts for search and rescue, as well as being able to integrate it with police training. I've had a couple of my training captains from my job, which I'm in law enforcement as a full-time officer, come up, and we've been looking at different things that can be used so that we can utilize it with the town, county, and other municipalities. On Sunday, this is what really makes me proud. We went to an antique muster down in La Plata. There was over 30 different apparatus ranging from 1874 all the way to 1988. It was for all antique fire apparatus. The reason I say it makes me proud of that is while I was down there, our engine 9-1, our antique, was a big talk of it, But this council was actually a very big talk of it. Because the question came to me is, Chief, how do you get your mayor and council to support you? And the answer I gave everybody was go talk to them. Because they don't understand how we have such a great working relationship and how I can pick up the phone and call and be like, hey, I need advice, or hey, which direction do I go, or can you help me out? They don't understand how we have that working relationship. So the word of the town of Bladensburg is out there. I know Chief Demerit has talked to you on numerous occasions. Chief Fowler from Silver Hill, again, praises the mayor and the council. So the word is out of how great you guys really are, and it has reached out into southern Charles County. So I just want to say thank you guys for that. And that is all that I have.
Great. Thank you, Chief Sumner. Any questions from the team or comments? I know I want to just commend the Ladies Auxiliary for fundraising, because they're at that hall Friday night, Saturday, all day, Sunday, facilitating bingo to raise funds for the volunteer fire department. And so for those watching at home, when Chief said they just spent $600,000+ on that new apparatus, probably heard me applauding, because that was a lot of dedication and hard work from folks that you never see. Those ladies, they support these guys, but they're happy to do so. They're not looking for limelight. They just want to help. And so if we could just give a huge round of applause. I mean, I won't go down the whole list, but I got to shout out Paula Ayers, because she's like mother-in-chief over that group, and she and the volunteers, Miss Wanda, I mean, there's so many, Linda, I could go on and on. They do an amazing job fundraising for you all, so we certainly appreciate you all and the relationship that we have working with you to help provide resources and just support the good work that you're doing. And thank you for the report out. It's good to hear about all the service calls and everything. We hear the ambulances going, we hear the fire engines going, so it's weird to hear you say we're down in calls, because
Yes.
I feel like I still, when I'm teleworking, I still hear them coming for the
We're
community.
down.
So anyway, thank you, Chief Sumner, for everything you do.
And to all the council members and the mayor's done it a couple times. I encourage you guys to come over and find out what we're about. I mean, I can stand here and talk, but until you physically go over there and talk to them or do ride-alongs with us to see what they go through. I mean, I work 12 hours a day, and then I come do the firehouse thing. Sometimes I'm running off 2 hours of sleep, if none. You guys really need to come see what these guys are about. I mean, it's more than just going up and down the road, playing fireman. It's a lot more to it, and I really encourage you guys to come see them.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that, because it's true. I mean, they have the dorms across the street in case you haven't seen them, but they may fall asleep at 1 in the morning. I know that was our case. We had a call at like 11 when I did the ride along. And you're sitting there for 2 hours trying to stay up, and then it goes off, the siren goes off at 1:30, and you're throwing your boots on and everything, jumping on the engine, and then you come back and you try to power down, take a nap, and nope, that siren is going off again, and you got to get it together and be able to be coherent. So it is definitely an eye-opening experience to do the ride-along, as long as the county approves, because remember, they were shut down for a little while.
We're good with it.
But in terms of hands, I saw Councilmember out, and then I'll come to Councilmember Lundy.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am a strong supporter of the Bladensburg Fire Department. Because of COVID, I'm limited to the places I go.
Yeah.
But I would like to champion everything that you said. We had a representative from SAMHSA come to our My Peace Mental Health Awareness Day who took a tour. And I have been a strong advocate of the work that you all do. And she said something similar, that you guys work together?
Yes.
And I told her, yes, we do work together. And the purpose was because when you all need something, we help each other out. And I wanted to point out that that's what community is all about. And we can go and we can be an example for all of the other communities as we help each other out. Because I know when we had the My Piece, when we needed tables, you said, oh, absolutely. I did have a question. What are the requirements of the utilization of the training classrooms?
Pretty much just get a hold of myself or Gary Katz, our president, and then if something isn't already booked up, we'll say yes or no and go from there. There's really no requirement. Just don't trash it. It's the only thing we ask.
Absolutely.
And council member, to your question, also, it is just fair to give a donation toward the fire department for using it. I know one church group that I referred there, they gave like $100 or $200 after using it for a few hours, so it does help.
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking about just mental health agencies that are looking for mental health first aid, CPR training courses, in those different groups, that they are looking for spaces that are large enough and available. And so I will be championing that in the subgroups that I do know on a federal and on a state level.
So, speaking under the CPR portion, again, one of the main things I'm big on training. I've also recently this year got us recognized under ASHI, American Safety and Health Institute, that our fire department is actually a recognized training center for ASHI now. I am one of the lead instructors for that, and we will have 2 more instructors coming online very shortly, so we will actually be offering community CPR through that training classroom shortly.
That's great. Councilmember Lundy?
Okay, so I'll go from the bottom up.
Okay.
Let's just start with the most recent thing. So for training.
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to that space, the space that is available, is that just limited to fire department type stuff, health? Is it any of our stakeholders or community?
Are you referring to the classroom or
The classroom training?
No, it's open to anybody.
Oh, that's fabulous. Okay, so, and we just contact you?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your number?
You
wanna give it out?
it's everybody in the world has it.
Go ahead.
So,
I know, you have to
Alright.
ask me. Go ahead.
434
Uh-huh.
987
Uh-huh.
1601.
1601. And is there a public calendar?
There is not a public calendar. We're still working on that, trying to come up with one for Google Docs and do one.
And how soon do you think that would be?
It depends on how fast our IT goes.
Oh,
Right now, we're in the middle of redoing all of our infrastructure for our IT because we couldn't get Wi-Fi to work from one end of the building to the other. So currently, we're working on that.
So we just keep getting in touch with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, also, I wanted to let you know, there's definitely a firm support. I don't know if you know it now, because as our mayor has said, people who are doing service don't necessarily look for limelight.
Right.
But just to let you know, when you made your comment about coming over and see what's going on, I have been to the fire department, I've visited the fire department, I've been scared of the dog, I've been inside on numerous occasions.
So the key to Miles, and the mayor will tell you, if you bring him an apple, he will love you for life.
Okay, so, and also I was very instrumental, working with one of my colleagues, Councilmember Rowley, making sure that the fire department had food during that
Yes.
time as well. So
And we were very grateful for
donate
this.
that, no problem, but as our mayor said, you don't look for limelight, but we do serve. Also, a good suggestion from the chief. Oh, so you gave me a good suggestion. I would suggest moving forward with, as the new council comes on, that as the mayor goes, that there would be like a delegation.
Okay.
So that would be a good suggestion, even if it's a verbal, if it's a virtual, you can do a virtual tour too, right? I don't know if you all are doing that with technology, but if not, maybe some of the council members can go as a delegation, certain days or what have you, that would be good as well. As long as we wear our mask and all that kind of stuff, I think we'll be safe. So, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I look forward to working with you, moving from the elected official side back to the community resident side. So I'm excited about what you're doing and championing the fire department, as I've already done and will continue to do as long as I'm a resident here in Bladensburg.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief. Again, appreciate your time. I can't believe you were actually able to stay without having to run out the door, so we did it. We got
I haven't
you
heard him go
in.
by, so we're good right now.
Okay. All right. Again, thanks for joining. So we will continue on with the agenda if there are no other questions for Chief. So the next item is the approval of minutes, but I don't believe we received the minutes. So we'll just ask for a motion to table that until the November meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to, is it Ms. Griffin or Mr. McGrory for public comments?
We have Ray Jeffries
Oh,
standing
okay.
by, and Ray, if
Mr.
you want to come out to the
Jeffries.
podium. Oh, shoot. I meant to keep that up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm here to read the public comment for today. We just have one from Ms. Susan McCutcheon, and it states, "Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Blainesburg residents. First, I commend the Board of Supervisors of Elections, chaired by Pat Williams, for effectively managing the challenging town election in these fraught times when so many supervisors are being badgered and berated for simply doing their jobs. Even small towns are not immune to crashing waves of false information and pernicious rumor mongering. I would hate to see such a situation arise in our town because of those unhappy with the results of an election and their desire to try to delegitimize the wishes of the electorate with trumped up accusations. Second, I compliment Town Administrator Robert McGrory for introducing updated procedures such as open board meetings to accompany the recent move to voting machines and county involvement to make things run smoothly. I greatly appreciated the electronic publication of candidate profiles at long last. However, this information should have been distributed in hard copy as well. As we often say in our public comments, not everyone has electronic access and uses social media. Third, I want to give a shout out to the Ethics Commission as noted on tonight's work session. They are volunteers who have the thankless jobs of addressing sensitive issues that may arise. There must always be a mechanism for residents to submit their concerns to be reviewed and acted on if found to be appropriate. Residents need to be reminded more often about the existence of the commission so they will know they have a path to document their concerns. Fourth and finally, we are continuing to get out information to the public about SC Maglev Transportation Project and promoting the no-bill option. The Federal Railroad Administration has the project on pause, but plans are going on behind the scenes. If anyone receives a letter from the Baltimore-Washington Rapid Rail and environmental or other issues, please be sure to send it to me, tkdmccutch@yahoo.com. The company is pressure campaigning as though the project has been approved. Some homeowners, associations, and property owners have been upset by the authoritative tone of letters they have received in response deadlines indicated. That is the end of the comment, and that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeffries. And thank you, Ms. McCutcheon, for writing in your public comment. At this time, again, we'll skip over the unfinished business as we said in the work session for the sake of time. Moving on to financial business, there are no items noted there. The next item, Councilmember Lundy, I believe you added this to the agenda, Parkway.
Oh, yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so much to talk about that. Okay, so I believe it was in September. I think it was September, Councilmember Blunt, that we went over there.
I think right after the mayor gave us the information.
Yeah, after Mayor James gave us the information to take to a couple of residents over there who were experiencing some rental issues with the possibility of eviction. And so, in entering this property, and speaking for myself, I can't speak for my colleague, she can speak for her own self, just was kind of, it was rough. Entered the property, first of all, we entered the property and saw that, first of all, the property wasn't secure. The door was ajar, anybody could go in there. And when we went in there, because I was expecting to ring the bell and, you know, all that good stuff, because I thought it was a secure property. So anyway, so we went into the property. As we walked in, just the overall smell of the interior kind of like knocked me out. So when I walked in, I was like bombarded with that smell of carpet, and someone like myself who has issues with, you know, asthma and all that kind of stuff like that. It was kind of rough. And then just looking at the overall interior of the building was really worn down. It was horrible. I was afraid to get on the elevator because when I pushed the button to the elevator, it got stuck inside, and I was afraid. But I prayed, and I got on it because I had to do something. I had to deliver these packages to the two residents there, and that's what we did. And so I did that. But anyway, so after seeing that property, Councilmember Blunt and myself, we decided that we needed to do something to see how we could help as a municipality. Because this property, Parkway Condominiums, is in our municipality. And so I reached out to the Division Chief Common Ownership Communities, who is also under the Prince George's County Office of Community Relations. And very informative conversation. And she had said that she is very familiar with this property. And just from being on the council for 2.5 years, God willing in December to be 3 years, this property has been like this for a minute, for years. In fact, I sent the mayor and the council members and the town administrator a video of this property from 2012. I don't know if it went to chief or not, but I sent it to, at least I know I sent it to the colleagues, to my mayor and council and the town administrator, of a video from 2012 of another management company that was at the time, and oh my goodness, what has transpired between 2012 and now. I mean, they had chandeliers and lighting, a little seating area, carpet was clean, everything was prestige, the mailboxes were fixed. In fact, when I went there one day, I saw one of our staff members who lives there, not mentioning his name, who lives there. He was fixing on the mailboxes. And I was surprised to see him when I walked in the building. But he was helpful because he helped me find the number to one of the apartments, because I had to go back because the way that the apartments were situated, I couldn't find the apartment of the resident. So he helped me to know where I was going. So I really appreciate him, and he knows who he is. So I contacted Ms. Bailey. I reached out to the county exec municipal liaison, Denise Ross. And she helped me and point me in the right direction to even reach out to the division chief, Ms. Bailey, who's been helpful to me. And so she did tell me what we can do as a municipality, and I wanted, first of all, I'm going to make these recommendations based on my conversation with Ms. Bailey. So this is not coming from Carletta. This is coming from the recommendation of the office who works with these HOAs and all that. And not knowing the history over the years since 2012 of what we have done to assist as a municipality, the property, the board members, and the residents. So I still haven't received, before I go to the other point, I still haven't received from Ms. Bailey. I requested the name of the board members from the Parkway Condo Association. I requested the name of the current management company. I requested the name of the attorney. And I requested if Parkway Condominiums is registered or not. And I haven't heard back from Ms. Bailey. I really expect to hear back from her soon when I follow up with her, as I know she's going to be very responsive under the county exec, Prince George's County. So one of her recommendations is that because this property is within our municipality.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Lundy, so we do have times next to the item, so the
okay, well, let me
timer
get to
went
this.
off, but I just wanted to kind of give you an extra minute to wrap up.
All right. So thank you. So this is very important. So what Ms. Bailey said that we can do as a municipality, even this council or the next council, is that we can have our code enforcement to go into the property and access the common areas of the interior and the exterior. And myself and Councilmember Blunt, we took pictures that we can share with the code enforcement officer. So we can do that. And once we make those assessments, we can then contact the board and let them know what our determinations and findings are. And we can give them a time period to get these things fixed. If they are not fixed within that time period, we can assess fines to the common areas. the interior and the exterior. The common area. We cannot go into nobody's apartments and no, you know, all that kind of stuff. And also, I did reach out to Councilwoman Jolene Ivy's office, and her chief of staff sent us an email that they have already reached out to DPI, so that's another area. So let's do our due diligence first, because they are in our municipality this time. If we have not done anything in the past, let's do something now. If we have done something in the past, let's follow up and keep up to it, because it's no one should live like that. No one should live like that. So I hope that the council would be in support of charging our staff through our code enforcement office, Mr. McCory, to go in there and do an assessment. Would that come under you, Mr. McCory, or chief?
Code
Chief.
enforcement works for the chief, so you could direct your questions to the chief.
Yeah, so and I think we're all in
So
agreement.
chief, would that be something that you would definitely want to have the code enforcement officer to go in there and do some assessment?
Yes, I can have a conversation with them tomorrow.
Okay.
To make sure that, because it's private property.
Oh, no, yeah, you can,
They want to be-
yeah, I can give you the information to Ms. Bailey, who is the division chief of the Common Ownership Communities, and she said because the municipality is within our jurisdiction, in our municipality, we can go in and inspect the interior, which is the common areas, which is the carpet, the walls, the lighting, all that kind of stuff, and the outside, the grass, the building, if it's falling down, which it is, the foundation, because you can see wires and pipes and, wires and everything coming out the building. And we have pictures, we can send you those pictures that we have. So we can do that.
And Councilmember Lundy, so just to wrap up, if you wouldn't mind sharing the photos that you took, I know that
Yeah, I'm
was
gonna
one
share
of
them
the
with-
action items, so that would probably be helpful to give
Yep.
to Officer Reinhardt, so
And
he
I
can
said
just
that.
take a look before he heads out there. But thank you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Councilmember Blunt.
Yeah, did you call the health department?
No, I didn't call the health
Because
department.
they came, when one of our residents had a complaint about mold they saw in our building, and because we are private, they were still able to come in and see if there was any findings, which they didn't find anything, so you can start there.
But that's
I'll
a
send
good
you a
idea,
picture.
Councilmember Blunt, to also contact the health department and do it from the public health perspective as well. So if everyone's pressing on them, and I did see the message from Councilmember Ivy's office during our work session, that they provided you with the person for DPI to contact Councilmember Lundy. But thank you again, you and Councilmember Blunt, for going up there to deliver the resources to the residents. We do need to move on. Councilmember Rout, I'm sorry. We're
Mayor.
severely behind on our agenda, and I want to get to some of the other things that you have on here. The next item is the Ethics Commission, and I think this was provided by Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. The Ethics Commission, I would like to ask the council so that, because in understanding our ordinance as it relates to the Ethics Commission, this council never had an opportunity to suggest or solicit interested. And it's to my understanding that the Ethics Committee that's currently in existence has been serving for over 8 years, based off of the information shared. And so I would like to move that the town administrator direct town staff to solicit interested volunteers to serve on the Ethics Commission by way of our social media marketing platforms and or our any type of written correspondence to gather any type of interest.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. So the motion was made to solicit new members of the, to solicit
Volunteers
volunteers
to serve on the Ethics Commission by way of the submittal of a statement of interest.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. The next item that we have, let me just make sure, because I know some of this was moved from the work session, was the fiscal forensic audit. Councilmember Rout.
Yes, thank you so much. So, thank you, Mr. McGrory, for sending over the information regarding the fiscal forensic audit. As you weren't present during that time, but the town council went back and forth with understanding more as it relates to measuring the amount of I guess, resources that we have and proper use of that, and that would be the purpose of this audit. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any movement on that, and so by way of a direction, can an RFP be written? So I moved to direct town staff to write an RFP to solicit a request for proposal for a fiscal forensic audit no later than November 1st.
Thank you, Councilmember Rao. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilmember Lundy. Now we'll move to discussion. And for the benefit of the public, as was shared in our council packets, when you hear of the term forensic audit, they cover a wide range of investigative activities. They're often conducted to prosecute a party for fraud, embezzlement, or other financial crimes, and the description goes on from there. And so to that point, I would ask, has there been any sort of criminal report filed with the police department or something detailing what the allegations are? Councilmember Rao?
Thank you, Mayor James. I was prepared for you to ask that question because it's been asked in written correspondence. But the citizens of the town of Bladensburg, by whom I represent, have stated that they have been asking because there are town resources that they feel have been misused or used. And so there has not been a specific no one has went to the police department, but that was one definition of a forensic audit, and I appreciate sharing that. But this is to audit, do a deeper dive of the audit that Mr. Tonelli presented to us, and so we put it in the budget during the budget season, and so there needs to be action and movement on that. And so I appreciate that is the purpose of an audit, to understand what resources do we have, what resources have been used. We may discover that we have an extra $1 million laying around. Who knows what we will discover? It's not always on a negative side when we think about forensic. I remember in my current place of employment, there was a forensic audit that was done with one particular grant, and there was identified that there was some innocent supplantation of funds, and I used that as innocent because there wasn't a particular motive behind that after it was investigated. But with that, we had more information and knowledge to be able to track. And so this is just being fiduciary responsible. To my knowledge, I'm not sure that there is any criminal activity, and so I welcome the more information that we can do to make sure that things are fiduciary responsible, because we do have something to respond to the public. These are their taxpayer dollars. These are their resources, and the town council has an adequate opportunity to measure and evaluate those. And so we placed it in the budget. There needs to be action that's taken on that. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. And to that point, I want to make sure that these residents, because I hear that thrown out as though there's tons and tons of people with these complaints, but again, there's no documentation from this group of residents that was substantiated. I do agree, if we're going to do this, and I said this to you all, even when the legal counsel said, well, this can get very expensive, so I don't recommend you go full swath. My response, as you may recall, was no, let's look at everything. The reason I asked for documentation from the residents you refer to is that helps inform the RFP, because staff can put something together, but if that doesn't meet the needs of these constituents you speak of, we're not addressing the concerns that potentially have been brought to your attention. The second thing I would ask is, to your point about taxpayer funds, we have a very serious responsibility with the taxes our residents and business owners pay. And so my recommendation is to make a motion to this amendment that if there's no wrongdoing, that those residents or the council members who support it would be responsible financially for paying the town back. If we're that committed to transparency, put your money where your mouth is. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Hold on.
You can't do that.
Go ahead,
I pay
Mr. McGrory.
taxes. You cannot do that.
This is a serious
Yeah,
thing.
you can't do
And
that.
so,
And you
if-
can't do that.
that would be my amendment.
Okay.
It doesn't have
Let's
to
vote
be,
on
but
it.
It's on the record.
Let's vote on it.
It's on the record.
But isn't
Councilmember Blunt.
But when we had these concerns, we put it in the budget already. All of this should have came up
Exactly.
way before we put the funds in the budget. I don't know what the turn is or what came about doing it, but when we voted on it and talked about it before the money went in the budget, we should have had this discussion then, because if the public want to know, no, they want to know. I mean, if no doing fine, I'm not paying any money back, but I do support it. So that's not even a fair statement to anyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Blunt, and I believe Mr. McGrory, you had a hand up as well.
So just two things. There's a difference between the appropriation process in which money is made available for various things, and I'll pick on the police chief because he's got nice shiny cars. So you may put money in the budget to buy police cars, but that is not the same as executing a purchase order to buy the 2021 or the 2021 Ford Tahoe with all the police bells and whistles. So there's usually a two-step process in the procurement, and in this case, money was put in the budget for this purpose. But it's the writing of the RFP that is the technically challenging thing. And one of the reasons I put this definition in the packets was to define this is something that we take very seriously. I've worked for 8 different governments at federal, state, county, and municipal levels, and I've never been subject to a forensic audit. And the town has the benefit of the expertise of its former auditor. Robert Diss is on the line here, and I asked him to come so that he could inform. Now, I've never met Mr. Diss before, but I asked him to come so he could help educate all of us so that we can see where this expedition is going, because I don't have a clear understanding of this, and we pay for an audit, and a forensic audit is a highly nuanced subspecialty. So
Mr. McGrory, is he our current auditor?
No.
He is not.
Okay, so why are we, what? Okay. Mr. McGrory, thank you.
And
You're welcome, Councilmember
I think we
House.
just passed the minutes, and this is.
So at this time, Mr. McGrory,
So Mr.
Are you
Diss
going to
is
call for
available
your
and he's-
subsidiary motion that you put on the table?
so
Right.
Mr. McGrory, we're still in discussion, so if you don't mind.
So as part of
but-
educating the council and
Right.
staff so that we
And
can
the
possibly
community.
implement this motion, I'd like to have an expert explain to us how we could put wheels in this.
I agree, but
Thank
she
you.
also put a subsidiary motion on the table. Are we going to vote on that?
I didn't hear it seconded, but you're familiar with parliamentary procedure, so I'll defer to the mayor.
She just put it on there. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, we're going to call for that one first?
So, Mr. Diss, give us a moment. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
So it's 2-2, the motion fails. Mr. Diss, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with the community the definitions and your perspectives on
For
the
her
forensic
subsidiary
audit.
motion. That we're going to pay something back.
Oh, I'm not paying anything back. That's not gonna happen.
Mr. Diss, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
That's because you have to mute it. Never seen somebody scared of
Mr. Diss, we can't hear
audit.
you.
So you all knew we had a speaker and everything. Now, this is crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, Rick, are you getting any audio from him? No. Mr. Diss, we're apparently not getting any audio from you either.
Madam Mayor, can we call for the vote?
Yeah, but it's been over 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's been 5 minutes.
I didn't hear no
So we
bell.
put it, point of order, we should have put more time on the calendar if you were going to have a person come and speak. There should have been adequate time.
There was no information provided about the subject of this.
So how Mr. Dish just come on as the previous auditor?
Yeah.
And doing
This is
background and trying to provide you all with information, because as you'll recall, council rules do indicate when you put an item out for the agenda, you're supposed to provide documentation, and in fact, that did not occur.
And it's been provided.
I'm sorry, I have the floor. You did not submit that information when you provided the agenda item. And per our rules, that is the agreement. However, unfortunately, it does not happen. We receive items without the background information. And that, as it says in section 6.1-2, provided that the member of the council shall have furnished the town administrator a description of the item in time for inclusion with their printed agenda. Mr. McGrory did his best effort to try to provide background information. That's all. So, Mr. McGrory, unfortunately, we need to move on with the agenda.
Are you gonna call for the vote?
Another
Madam
opportunity
Mayor?
to hear. I have the floor, ma'am. If there's another opportunity to hear from Mr. Dis, we'd appreciate that, but we do need to move on. At this time, the motion is still on the floor, and it has been moved by Councilmember Rout, seconded by Councilmember, all right, let me switch screens. Councilmember Lundy. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
That's 3. And nays, I would be a nay. The ayes have it. So the staff is directed to be clear to write a proposal for the forensic audit. And again, we don't have any specific information. I do regret that from the community to formulate the RFP. So we'll appreciate you all doing your best effort with that.
Madam Mayor, a correction, that is not what I stated. I moved to direct the town staff to write an RFP to solicit a fiscal forensic audit by November 1st. That was my motion.
Correct, thank you.
You
We got it.
You misstated it.
I didn't state the whole thing, ma'am, but you know
Okay.
exactly what I was talking about.
No,
And
I
next
don't.
time, please wait until you're recognized. Thank you for respecting me. Please and thank you. The next item on the agenda is the telephone system. This was given to the council in a written update. I think it's very clear where we are with the telephone system. Are there any questions for staff at this time?
The telephone system, I know when I talked to Mr. McGrory, he said it was be mid-October, but I see now that it's pushed back to November. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any reason why it was pushed back to November now?
Yes, do you want me to, I can read the report into the record if that would.
Sure, could you? I guess everyone didn't get a chance to read it.
No, I didn't. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay, sure. So we just had an update last week with the vendor, and one of the challenges they faced was the town has numerous phone numbers. They're scattered among 2 phone service providers, and some of these numbers are also linked to alarm systems. These factors significantly increase the complexity of the programming for porting the numbers by the vendor from the old vendors to the new vendors. They indicated they were confident of a mid-November implementation. I did specifically ask in this meeting with the department heads, with the vendor on the phone, how confident can we be that I'm not going to be sitting in front of the council next month giving an update that says now it's December? And to be frank, he was very confident that this November deadline would be hit, but a self-imposed deadline, but nothing is 100% sure, and that was the vendor's assessment. So we are at the mercy of continuing to operate our system until the vendor is ready to go with the new system.
Thank you, Mr. McGrory, for that update and for providing it in writing as well to the council. The next item on the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I have my hand raised.
Councilmember Rout.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor, for acknowledging my hand that was raised. Mr. McGrory, I do have a subsequent question. So will there be a change order because the original, I guess, assessment of our telephone system as these things were being identified later on in the process that we have a porting issue, we have multiple telephone numbers, we have multiple locations. Is that going to cost the town any additional funding as it relates to the quote that we have received?
That was not conveyed to me during this call.
Okay. Thank you so much for that update.
Thank you again, Mr. McGrory. At this time, again, another administrative update that was requested was regarding town vacancies, and I did see that you shared an outline of those open positions. Are there any questions from the council regarding staff vacancies? Councilmember Rout.
Thank you so much, Mayor James, for acknowledging me. And I also had several conversations with residents by which I represent on these issues, and I'm glad to see that the Director of Public Works position and the Grants Manager have been posted on our town website, because the town residents they don't have this administrative update that we have in front of our face. And so I appreciate that. But there needs to be a small push that's done. Is there any other movement that's going to be made on the ARPA grants coordinator? Are we waiting for the grants manager to write that position description and be able to write the coordinator position? Do you need assistance with writing the coordinator position? And also, when will the code enforcement officers and the administrative aide and the sergeant of the CAT team be posted? I see you listed those, but our town residents are very concerned that our workers are being overworked, and so then there's nothing that's getting done. And so if we adequately push out all of the information and the duties to the people who properly sit in those positions, maybe we can have some more efficiency as it relates to good governance, which the town council is responsible for ensuring. So if you could answer that question, and then based on his question, I may have a follow-up question. Thank you.
I guess that was directed to you, Mr. McGrory.
It was. I said his name.
So I'll just speak for myself, but there are potentially other staff here who might object to the characterization if nothing's getting done. People come to work every day. I think there's a good volume of work being done. We are short a number of positions, and that is regrettable. And to your specific questions with regard to the ARPA positions, the ARPA position description that I was provided and that was approved by the council, it says very specifically that this position is responsible for the entire implementation of the ARPA project, and it lists not only the coordinator position that was articulated, but also a grants assistant that has not yet been described. And these positions are supervised under the proposed ARPA grants manager position by the ARPA grants manager. So yes, my assumption was that grants manager would be hired and engaged directly to help draft those job descriptions, help with the hiring and vetting of the prospective employees for that one position that has been approved and the one prospective position that is outlined in the grants proposal. And if I could defer to the chief on the with regards to the police positions, I think the chief would be happy to provide some insight into that. And chief, you probably need a microphone.
Yes, thank you. So we, myself and the town administrator and the town treasurer met last week, Friday. We went over to verify the job description. Language was accurate. The price range, the salary range was accurate. So we will be posting them tomorrow. We intended to post them Friday, and I do apologize, that is on me, but time got short. I wanted to go support one of our municipalities for their domestic violence awareness event, and so I will post it first thing tomorrow morning. It's ready to go to be posted.
Thank you, Chief Collington. Any further questions for the staff? Thank you so much. At this time, we'll move on to the Board of Election Supervisors. It says Board of Supervisors, but I believe that's intended to be Board of Election Supervisors. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. This was one that I suggested that we also talk about, because given that the election cycle was over, as there were some comments that for the next town council, we should not be missing any more deadlines. Now that we know better, we should be able to do better. And so I would like to move that the town administrator direct town staff to solicit volunteers to serve on the Board of Election Supervisors by November 1st by submittal of a statement of interest.
Councilmember, I thought I saw you moving your hand. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilmember Lundy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And the next item is the ARPA visioning session. Was this you, Mr. McGrory, or Councilmember Rout?
Councilmember
I think
Rao.
we kind of touched on it already.
Yeah, I'm going to yield to Mr. McGrory to share this information since the public doesn't know about this information.
Sure. So what I wrote up here was that the first, was the proposal to schedule the first ARPA visioning session the week of November 15th to 19th. That would enable us to hopefully have the benefit of additional staff to prepare advertising with sufficient lead times to generate interest and facilitate the scheduling of that meeting on Zoom. And I did request that the council provide input via email regarding the optimal days and times for that meeting to maximize participation.
Thank you for that, Mr. McGrory. Are there any further comments or questions from the council? Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James, for acknowledging me. With the ARPA visioning sessions, it says that they should take place the week of November 15th through 19th. And so what I'm recommending is that the town council consider my proposal that I've been requesting for the last 6 months in preparation of this ARPA, which is to have a visioning session for staff, a visioning session for residents, and a visioning session for businesses. And the purposes of these visioning sessions is just so that the town council can hear from these stakeholder groups to understand the COVID needs given the written guidance that's out. Once the grant manager is hired, they can then take the transcripts or the video to hear what these, so that we can be able to hit the ground running to understand, because as we are in COVID, people are still dying, and so people are still affected. Our domestic violence is still up, our crime is still up, and so we can't just be waiting as a lame duck, just waiting, well, let's just wait for our grant manager to come. No, there are things that we can be doing as an active council to understand the needs of our community, so that when the grant manager comes. And so I would like to move that the town administrator directs staff to solicit correspondence to the 3 stakeholder groups, to include the staff, residents, and businesses, for the identified dates, no later than November 15th.
Is there a second on the motion?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. I'll now call for a discussion. I think you've shared your experience in grants management previously, Councilmember Rout, and I do think there's value in having that manager as part of the process from start to finish. I certainly understand what you're saying. The needs are happening now. There's things that people need at this moment, but most certainly think that if we want to have, to your earlier point about fiduciary responsibility, going back to the audit and so forth, it would make sense to have that person here from start to finish, so that if you're opening up concerns and other things as it relates to finances, this is one area where you have objectivity from the very start of the process. So I do want to just call that out. I think we should be consistent with how we're governing and handling these funds. With that, are there any other comments, Councilmember Lundy or Councilmember Blunt?
I do have a comment.
You have already had a moment, so I'd like to hear from the others before we go to vote. Councilmember Blunt?
Yeah, the reason for having the vision sessions, and we've been calling these for way before the money even came, is to find out what is it that the people want. You see, they don't come out to see the video, to see us on Zoom. They don't come to the meetings or listen to the meetings. But this way, at least we'll know what they want. And then when the grant manager, ARPA manager comes, he'll kind of know what's going on and just take a run with what's going on, look at what's going on, what they need, and he'll have a start instead of waiting till he comes and get it a start, send it out. At least we already had that process done. I mean, that's just, it makes sense to me. It's like planning.
Thank you, Councilmember Blunt. Councilmember Lundy?
Yes, so I do support, as I believe all of us here do support having these vision sessions. So I would just like to add that as we think about doing the vision sessions, to reach out to, say for example, our community center which has a big space. So we can do like pop-up sessions maybe, so that would be nice to do. If not with all three of these stakeholder groups, maybe one or what have you, that we can have some optimal community engagement, you know, to go where the people are. We can consider doing pop-up locations. So that would be my input.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Lundy. That's a great idea. And I also think what's important too is while Councilmember Blunt made the point, it's difficult to get people to tune into the meetings and come out. And so we can't just solely rely on the feedback that we get in these visioning sessions. We also have to use data. And so to that extent, I've reached out to Dr. Blaine from NLC because he helps formulate databases for other states and to gather the kind of input that you need to put a program like this together so that, yes, you may get input, but if we get input from 20 residents in Ward 1, but 2 from Ward 2, that doesn't mean Ward 1 has more needs than Ward 2. It means we need to take that feedback respectfully, build that into whatever we decide, but look at the data to understand how many are living below the poverty line, how many are food insecure, how many have transportation or childcare or other issues that are directly related to COVID, so that when we put a plan together, it's data driven. It's not just because we listen to a small group of vocal residents who, you know, are best at lobbying and, you know, successful at getting their points across. And so I spoke to him, we had a meeting Friday. I explained to him these visioning sessions were coming up. And so what he agreed to do was use Bladensburg as a pilot to use census data to build out what information is there. So once I have it, I will share it. Because again, when we have these sessions, I want us to really think holistically and not just about the people in the room, because Councilmember Blunt is so right. We're not going to get everyone.
That's right.
And the sad thing is some of the people who are most in need, they're the most silent. And some of them are non-English speakers. So we have to really use our resources to dig in to the layers of where these funds need to go. Councilmember Rout, and then we'll go to
Yes,
vote.
thank you, Mayor James, for acknowledging me. And I do, so since you mentioned my expertise in grants management starts with visioning. It starts with a strategic process to understand your stakeholder needs. And as you shared, data is the next step. And so I have years of experience in grants. I oversee $52 million in grants. And the first step, as I've been championing throughout the last 6 months, is you have to understand the vision. Without a vision, you're not going to know, how do we get to Baltimore from here? Well, there are many different routes. There are many different items that we can take. Then you could see the data, which is, okay, I can travel up 295, which is going to take me 45 minutes, or I could take Kenilworth Avenue to 495, cut on over and get there. You have to start with a plan, and that's exactly what this is. It's just engaging with our stakeholders. It's engagement with our community. Look, we can be able to engage. We can be able to build our collaboration and an engagement. When I joined the council, that was one of the goals that we all collectively shared that we wanted to do. We wanted to exercise and increase our engagement. This is an opportunity that we shouldn't let pass. So I appreciate if council members would support this action.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, due to the lateness of the hour, can we forego staff reports, or is there any critical updates that need to be shared? Okay, got it. Thank you. The reports will be available online for the community. At this time, are there any critical updates from the mayor and council reports? Councilmember Blunt?
No, I know, no, it's not. I just want to say thank you to the seniors for attending the senior gathering, and the staff, Diamond and Diane and Marissa. Is that right? Marissa, yes. They was wonderful. They was like, so thank you, Bob McGorry, for, everything you did as well. So thank you all for coming. There will be something else coming soon.
Thank you, Councilmember Blunt. I'm sorry. Mr. Mendoza is not here, and I was just going around the room. Let me go back to the agenda. I'm sorry, Councilmember Rout.
Yes, thank you, Mayor James. I'm going to make this report brief. I did submit a report to the town administrator and my town council for informational purposes of all of the activities. I've been very busy on behalf of the town of Bladensburg. I would like to share that I would like to publicly share I will not be present at the December meeting. Hopefully, I'll be giving birth during that time at the December meeting. So I want to congratulate everyone that will be sworn in, and I'll send my, warmest congratulations. And I want to thank Councilmember Lundy for her time and her service because, I just wanted to do it today because I may or may not make it until December. So I want to congratulate all of the candidates. I also want to publicly thank the State's Attorney's Office and all of the people who came out to our gun violence concert. It was a phenomenal way of being able to take a stand against gun violence with all the 27 municipalities. I also want to thank the Department of General Services for believing in our little vision to provide English as a second language learner workshops and providing computers to our residents who may not have access to computers but want to be able to take a course. We have 6 laptops left. And so if you are interested in signing up, please send an email to myself. And if you have a neighbor who wants to work on their English, whether they speak Mandarin, whether they speak French or Spanish, they can also do that as well. I've attended a host of webinars led by the National League of Cities, Opportunity Now. There have been correspondence sent to me as it relates to the noise pollution. I've already spoken with Chief Collington on some of the code enforcement violations. I just want to let the public know that we have began talking about solutions to those issues. I want to bring up the transportation issues. I want to thank Dr. Golson for responding back to us and her staff as it relates to the transportation issues. They have improved, says some of the residents, and that is, the school board is working on our behalf. I want to welcome our next town clerk that will be joining our town soon. The map amendment, I was successful in submitting a letter with regards to the recommended zoning for the MXT 5-08, which is on our Annapolis Road corridor. I heard from the county council clerk that there wasn't anything officially that was submitted by the town of Bladensburg, not from individuals, but just the town of Bladensburg. So I drafted something. It took me like a couple hours. So I did draft something and I submitted it with the consensus of the town council of just our wishes and as it relates to some of the identified just inconsistencies with the attached report as it relates to the zoning. As you know, the zoning issue is very, very important. And so I was able to get it in by the deadline, and that report is in my report for your review. I worked with Mayor James on a draft on advocating for a municipal building. I want to thank Mayor James for her collaboration with that. I attended the Kaboom ribbon cutting, and they even gave us, me and Mayor James, a little nice something for going, and a letter. So I just want to say thank you for them for that. And the last thing, I attended the job fair. It was great to see people come out and be interested in some of the different jobs that are present. And I just want to say that, democracy is working here, and it is working in our county, and to the residents. And they feel like it's a little contentious, but this work is getting done. And so, I don't have any issues with anybody around this room, but I will not be silenced. My voice will be heard because that's the reason why I've been placed in this position. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout, for all your good work on behalf of the community. At this time, we'll move to Councilmember Blunt. Councilmember Lundy.
Thank you, Mayor James. So I've also attended all of our community engagement events as well. That Councilmember Rout spoke about, the Kaboom ribbon cutting, the job fair, Our Streets, Our Future. Also excited about that we don't have all, we've given out what, four of the laptops with respect to the English language learning partnership we have with Prince George's County Community College. So I'm excited about that and thank our partners for those computers. Also, we've also received some laptops for our senior community, our senior homes. And so we'll be learn more about that in next month. Prayerfully next month we'll learn some more about those. But I was able to secure 30 laptops. I asked for 100, but I asked for 100 for my seniors. But I was able to get 30 of those. So the plan is to divide those amongst our senior homes and do sort of like a lottery. And so because I am going to be no longer in public office, I'm going to pass that initiative over to Councilmember Blunt, who is the senior lead here on the Bladensburg Town Council, so that she can work with ensuring that the seniors in those 3 senior homes in Ward 1 and Ward 2 receive 10 of those laptops, and let those facilities decide the best way to distribute those to the seniors. In any way that I can help, I'm available to do that. Also, I was able to send an email letter concerning the redistricting map. So in opposition of that going forward, for those of you all who wasn't on our work session, who did not attend our work session meeting, and I would encourage all of our residents to attend the county council meeting at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, where will be the very important meeting, and then to also attend the public hearing in November, to do that as well. Oh, yeah, so, and anything that I was working on was related to the seniors, you can know I'm going to pass that over to our senior lead here, Councilmember Blunt, and she will handle that moving forward. That's all I have, Mayor James.
Thank you so much for all the good work you're doing, Councilmember Lundy.
My pleasure.
Let me set the timer on myself so I don't go over. But just so we're level setting, so the monthly reports are for activity for the previous month, the month of September. And so I want to thank the Shine CDC for continuing their food deliveries. It's every other Saturday, I believe, in Edmonston. They call me, I load up my vehicle and bring that food over to Capitol View Residence Gateway Garden. Councilmember-elect Carol McBride helped me deliver food to Parkview, but we couldn't do that without the generosity of Shine CDC, so definitely want to thank them because we were able to continue that in September. Also want to call out, on September 11th, we observed the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and I want to thank Councilmember Lundy. I know she was here for the observance that Councilmember Mendoza did with the Cub Scouts here, as well as thank Ms. Eloisa Guzman for continuing the Mexican Independence Day celebration. Members of the council also supported our state's attorney's office and the town of Edmonston with their Our Streets, Our Future event. That was also on September 11th. And so it was good to just show up and support our sister city. As was referenced before, the countywide map amendment, that deadline, and actually those hearings were the date of our September 13th council work sessions. And so I did submit a letter of comments as well, just based upon the several meetings we had with the county back in 2020. And then also going back to 2019, I remember Councilmember Blunt and Councilmember Rout, they were attending those meetings with us before they were even officially sworn in. So it was very easy to grab our position statement and refresh that into a letter asking for the county's rejection of making the main corridor 450 Annapolis Road a commercial center where you can bring in car dealerships rather than the mixed-use retail and housing projects that we want to have. In addition, attended other efforts supported by the town. I was pleased to partner with Officer Tanksley on our first job fair. I think that went well for our first time out of the gate. And given the feedback from some of the vendors, we're definitely going to look at revisiting that, perhaps on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, and offer more support to our residents. I also attended the Council of Governments bi-monthly committee meeting for climate, energy, and environmental policy. And there we voted on a draft letter of support on proposed rules changes. And this is basically capping natural greenhouse gas emission standards for passenger vehicles and light-duty trucks. COG puts out our annual biannual numbers. And so it just helps all communities in this region because it's so compact to continue making the standards higher, thereby lowering greenhouse gas emissions for personal vehicles. I'll have the printed report with staff so that can be uploaded to the site, but at this time, that will conclude my monthly report for the month of September. At this time, I just noticed we had discussion in the work session about supporting the town of Edmonston with their request in tomorrow's hearing to continue as part of the Port Towns and not be pulled into District 2. And so I'm going to ask for a friendly amendment before we adjourn. If the council would support the town administrator drafting a letter of support for supporting Edmonston remaining as a Port Town community in District 5.
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. With that, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you to the staff and council members for being here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We're adjourned. Good night, everyone.